Hey guys, Lightning here with another Team Fortress 2 commentary, and last time I talked about how Valve was hinting at a major update. Well, that update is here, it is out now, and with it, it brought 60 new community items, 8 new crates, a whole crap a ton of new keys that you need to buy. But that's not what I'm going to be covering today. Today I'm going to be covering all of the weapon changes and a few major map changes that I feel really need to be addressed. So, first thing right off the bat, they added 2 new maps to the game, CP Process and CP Standin. I'll be doing a separate video on Standin, but this is me playing on CP Process. It's a great map. It's really been well known in the competitive community. It's a lot of people's favorite competitive map, and I can certainly see why. I've played on it a few times in Highlander, but not all that much to really give that much of an opinion on it, and it's just a great map. Go out and try it. It's definitely my favorite map of the 2. But moving right on down along the line here, we have a lot to talk about, so let's get started on the weapon changes, shall we? Starting out here with the Scout. The Scout got a few big weapon changes, starting out here with the Shortstop. The Shortstop got a 20% bonus whenever you get a health pack. Basically, you get 20% more health from a health pack than you would normally. However, it is now 80% more vulnerable to knockback, which basically means you are 80% more vulnerable to things like air blast, to things like explosions, pushing you back whenever you have this weapon out. The Winger, the Scout pistol that no one ever used, got a 25% jump height buff, which basically means whenever you have it equipped, or whenever you have it out, excuse me, not equipped, you jump 25% higher than you would normally. Moving on to the Soldier and what the Soldier got. Let's talk about the Battalion's backup. The Battalion's backup added an additional 15% sentry damage resistance to all of the teammates while the buff is active, and a 50% damage reduction while the buff is active as well. And the way that you get your rage for this weapon is you deal damage rather than receiving damage like it was before. Moving on to the Conjurer. The rage is now generated from the damage you deal, and buff players now receive a speed boost in addition to the previous health on hit effect. That is actually very nice, but do I think that any of these will dethrone the buff banner? I highly doubt it, but I think it'll give them more of a fighting chance. The Calamangler 5000 got a bit of a rework, especially in it has a brand new laser effect. It actually looks really freaking cool. Didn't get any of that for this video, but I do play that in the next one, along with the Medic's new buffed quick fix, but we'll get along to that when it comes. So talking about the Calamangler, its clip size was reduced from 5 to 4, meaning it has 4 rockets it can shoot before reloading. They removed the minus 10% damage attribute, they removed the 5% slower reload attribute, and that's pretty much it. So now it's basically a rocket launcher that shoots lasers, and has one major attack if you right-click with all your rockets in the clip. The escape plan is the rather controversial change, in this update. I'm okay with it, but I can see why some people are a little annoyed, because I actually didn't think about this earlier. Players receive a March for Death effect after deploying, and for a short time after. That's gonna make getting away a little bit difficult, but I can see why they did it, because no one ever took the darn thing off. So that's a welcome change in my book. The Liberty Launcher, they removed 25% of the clip penalty, which means you now have 4 rockets in the clip. However, these rockets now do 25% less damage than they would normally. So that's definitely a welcome change from me. The Phlogistinator, they fixed the oomph progress bar resetting after touching a resupply cabinet. Basically what would happen is that you would try to fill up your oomph meter, you'd go back for health, you'd go back for ammo, whatever, and it would completely reset the progress. That doesn't happen anymore. The Power Jack, however, they added a 15% increase to movement speed while deployed, and they added a 20% damage vulnerability to all sources. I think that downside is a little bit much, but there is a reason why they gave the Power Jack this buff, or the buff and speed, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. Moving on to the demo, the Charge and Targe now has complete afterburn immunity. I'm going to be using this thing a lot more than I am the Splendid Shield, I'm telling you that right now. The Loose Cannon. The range no longer affects direct cannonball impact charge, so range no longer affects this thing. They reduced the charge time on this weapon to 1 second, so you hold it down for 1 second and you have to fire, otherwise it'll blow up in your face. They added a new thing for the loose cannon called the double donk, and basically, if I'm reading this right, if you directly impact the enemy within half a second before the bomb exploding, it deals mini crits, and you'll hear a special sound and you see special particle effects. I'm not exactly sure how that one works, or if I've even done it yet, but I don't know. Moving on to the heavy, the buffalo steak sandwich. They removed damage taken when they removed the mini crit damage you would take whenever this was in effect, and instead made it damage taken is increased to 25% instead of the 33% damage taken. They also did this with the Criticola, I forgot to mention. The Criticola got the exact same reworking the buffalo steak sandwich did, so you don't take mini crits when you use that anymore. The Delocos bar, never could pronounce that weapon. Increased the amount of health restored per bite from 15 to 25, so that's a buff right there. The Gunslinger, they finally fixed this glitch. Basically, beforehand, when mini sentries were building, they would keep healing themselves as they would build, so even though you were hitting it, they would still build, and it wouldn't make any sense. Well, now that will no longer happen. They do not heal themselves anymore when they're being constructed, so that's actually pretty nice. The Rescue Ranger just became my primary engineer weapon, because this thing was so hard to defend yourself with. Well, now they gave it an increase in damage per bullet, and they also increased the healing that you do to your sentry from 50 to 75 per bolt. A little bit much, but you know what? I'm gonna take it. The Short Circuit got... I'm not exactly sure what it got. They keep trying to fix this thing, and I'm not sure how or why or whatever, but Short Circuit, the ammo cost reduced when an attack destroys the projectile. Basically, if you destroy a projectile successfully, the next little bit of ammo you use on this thing will not be as much. The Wrangler, which I showed off just a little bit ago in that clip on Egypt, and I'll talk more about those clips in just a few minutes. The Wrangler slightly reduced the accuracy of manually controlled sentry at long range, so that's nice, and the protective shield that the Wrangler gives the sentry fades 1 second after the owning engineer dies. That is also very nice because this used to be a 3-second wait rather than a 1-second wait. The Crusader's crossbow, they changed the arrow projectile to a large syringe. Basically, it just got some new effects, nothing really big right there, and they fixed being able to heal players that are using items that block healing. The Quick Fix, now this is a big one. They added a 50% overheal. And Uber now affects the medic when there is no heal target, and shotguns with pushback, aka the Force of Nature, no longer affect players under the effect of the Quick Fix's Uber. So they completely gave this thing a buff. Hopefully more people will use it now. I am certainly using it a lot more than I ever was beforehand. It is very nice. The Vaccinator, the Uber now fully absorbs crit damage for the selected type, but depletes Uber charge based on the amount of damage prevented. Moving on to the Sniper, the Bizarre Bargain, they fixed the starting charge rate of being minus 40% instead of minus 20%. They also capped the max charge rate to 200% on the Bizarre Bargain. So basically it means that you'll be able to charge your headshots a lot faster, but they capped it to 200 rather than anything higher. The Cozy Camper, they removed the movement penalty on this thing, but instead they added damage increased by 20%. So this thing's still basically useless. The Darwin's Danger Shield, they added bullet damage taken reduced by 15%, however you take more explosion damage, and they increased the explosion damage on this thing by 20%. So I'm not sure how I feel about that one. The Dead Ringer, when under the effect of the feigned death, damage taken decreases the duration of the effect. Not sure how I feel about that one. I'm glad that the Dead Ringer got a bit of a nerf, but I wasn't expecting something like that. I think that might be just a tad bit of a pyro buff, because let's face it, pyros are usually the things doing constant damage to Dead Ringer spies anyway, and your cloak is going to be gone pretty much instantly. The L'Étranger, they added a 40% increased cloak duration. That is extremely nice, and it pairs very well with the Dead Ringer. Some people consider that actually a little broken, but I'm completely fine with that. The Spy Sickle, they fixed a bug that would cause the charge meter to not reset when the spy was killed. Basically what this meant is that sometimes he would die, and if it was less than 15 seconds of the respawn, you still wouldn't have your knife. they fixed that so that when you die, you get your knife back, regardless of whether it's been 15 seconds or not. And moving on to the sets. Let's talk about the Saharan spy sets. They basically removed all the sets in the game. You know, the little sets where you need the specific hat and whatnot? Yeah, they removed those. Not sure how I feel about that. They basically leave little calling cards, or you get, like, new taunt effects. Some people are happy about some of those. I think they just sort of, like, tweak them a little bit rather than removing them altogether. But what can you do? And, of course, we have a few major map fixes on maps like Dust Bowl, on maps like Badwater, and Viaduct. You can no longer build teleports and sentries in your spawn. That's a big one. I showed that a little bit earlier in the video. Probably right in the middle of the video. On CP Egypt, I was complaining about this one last video. They finally fixed it so you can no longer build sentries on the arches. Thank God. And also in that clip, you probably saw that the Wrangler did wear off after 1 second after I died. That's what that whole thing was about. And of course, on Payload Upward, they removed the sniper glitch, where you could snipe people through the wall. So that is a very, very, very welcome change indeed, considering that has screwed me over more times than not. Although that's kind of my fault, because you kind of need to be on a specific place anyway for that to work. But regardless, it was a glitch, and it is gone. Also, they changed the they changed the items a little bit, like the when you go to get the items, like say you want to put on the pistol, but you don't know where it is in your inventory. There's a little search bar now, and you can type in the search bar pistol, and it'll bring it up, and it is glorious. It is beautiful. All in all, I have some mixed feelings about this update. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad either. CP Standin is a great map. I'll probably go more in depth into this map another time, but this is my first impressions of Standin, and this is my coverage of the update. Next time I will be bringing you a video on CP Standin. Did I say Standin that entire time? I meant Process. Next time I'll bring you a video, probably a live commentary video on CP Process, as I've never ever played it before, whereas Process I have played in the past. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Sorry I'm going a little bit over time. I hope this video helped you. I hope I helped you understand what all the changes were, and what was done, what was changed. And if you like this video, thank you for watching. Alright guys, that's gonna do it. Take care, and have a good day. Also, it's my birthday today. Yay! Just thought I'd point that out. Okay, I'm done. Bye.